There was no way I was getting out of it.
Yeah,
The
I
thoughts
would
of
have.
sleeping.
Yeah, I would have figured out something. I would have vomited right then and there. Be like, oh. I'm sure by now y'all know that instead of me saying the F word, right? I say cluck, and I've been saying that for a while now. So, have any of y'all ever said cluck because of me? Like, have you ever like caught yourself saying it or slipped up and said cluck, right? Or no, because or said it just because my coworker, he randomly said it, and I was laughing my ass off. So I mean, I don't know if any of y'all has ever said cluck because of me, or ever slipped up and said cluck because of me. But like, I think that's a funny word now. But every now and then, I do slip up and say the actual F word. I don't mean to, but it just happens. That's all I'm saying. Should we go? Should we go ahead and get started? All right then, let's get it. Then. Sup, though. What's up, Unit 522? Right? Did I say that right? I said that right? Okay. Unit 520. Okay, cool. Wait, why 522? Why not like 500 or like 523?
I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm sitting here at my computer, half past midnight, my fingers pecking out these terrible words on the keyboard.
Right.
But insomnia is a bitch.
Right.
And my therapist says this is a very healthy exercise. All I want is to get some sleep. He says that the words need to come out, that they're clogging up my insides like sludge in ancient plumbing beneath a crumbling house.
Wow, that was very specific. Wow, that was oddly and weirdly and creepily very specific. That was wow. Those choice of words. You sure you want to be talking to that mother clocker? Cause the way, wow, that was so weird. Ah, wow. That was kind of weird. I'm not even gonna lie. That was an odd choice of words for him to say. You couldn't say nothing else. All I'm saying is, if you told me that, I'm looking at you kind of sideways. Like, I'm looking at you kind of sus. Like, why would you say that to me? That was a very odd and specific choice of words. That's all I'm saying, though. Was that a red flag? Those choice of words that came out of his mouth, was that a choice? Was that a red flag? I feel like that was a red flag. Red flag.
Words can be poison, he says. Thoughts can be poison. It's like draining a wound, he says. But don't you have to drain a wound over and over again until it's healed?
No.
I don't think I can do this more than once.
Right.
I've heard it all. The different diagnosis given to me by every doctor from one coast to another. Survivor's guilt, PTSD, schizophrenia in some rare cases. The problem isn't in what I saw. It's what I didn't say. When I was 8, I went to an all-girls summer camp in June of 1977.
Already clucking
I
up.
was in tent 6. They called it tent number 8, but that's stupid, because we all know that no one counted the counselor's tent. I was in tent 6 with 3 other girls, or tent 7, if you read the reports. Whatever. Does that matter? We were all in the same group, the Kiowa group. Our tents were in a tight little cluster. Tiny little tents. With tiny little girls inside.
Pause.
There I was, until I heard the noise outside. I woke up with a start, clutching the stuffed animal that I had tried so hard to hide from the older girls, because they laughed and said toys were for babies.
Bitch.
Mr. Beans wasn't for babies. He was my friend. But I didn't have many friends that weren't stuffed animals, so I kept him hidden in case the older girls came back. And maybe they had. That's what I thought. The rustling sounds outside the tent sounded like someone was there. My first thought was the older girls from the Arapaho group. Girls who were allowed to wear lip gloss and talked about boys and just seemed so cool, like the ladies on the covers of magazines. They had teased me earlier at dinner that night, especially about Mr. Beans, but for one hopeful moment, I thought maybe they were testing me, to see if I was tough enough to be their friend, to prove I wasn't a baby. Mom says that sometimes people tease you because they like you. I wanted them to like me. I didn't wake up the other girls because I knew they would ruin the whole thing.
See, there you go. There you go, trying to fit in. There you go. You don't need to do all of that, baby girl. You just need to worry. You just need to hold Mr. Creepy Beans. Because that is a stuffed animal. Or a stuffed whatever. Which is kind of giving me bad, negative vibes off of Mr. Creepy Beans. Right? It's not just Mr. Beans. I'm calling him Mr. Creepy Beans. That's all I'm saying, you know? Right? But hold him tight. Something tells me Mr. Beans, Mr. Creepy Beans is the only thing that you're going to need, or you might need, coming up. You know? Because I'm thinking, well, whatever is about to happen, those two girls that you're in a tent with, they don't care about you. So if something pop off, you need to be looking at Mr. Beans, because the two girls, they're not going to be looking at you. They might get clucked up too, you know? But you got Mr. Beans, you got Mr. Creepy Ass Beans with you. So hey, you don't got nothing to worry about, right? Unless Mr. Beans is in cahoots. That's right. I said it.
They would probably cry and be babies. And then the older girls from the Arapaho group wouldn't be my friends.
Arapaho what?
I even put Mr. Beans behind my suitcase so they wouldn't see him. I waited, but nothing happened. More rustles from outside. That was all. The tent flap opened. I looked for the faces of my new friends, but there was a man.
Oh my God.
Not any of the counselors. Someone that I had never seen before.
Scream out, scream.
This realization set in like a heavy stone sinking to the bottom of a black pond. I can't do this. I can't do this. But I have to drain the wound. His eyes scanned the tent. His eyes counted 1, 2, 3, 4 little girls. His eyes stopped on me, and his eyes met mine. He then smiled.
Oh.
It was not a very nice smile.
Oh.
He then put one finger up to his lips and said,
My ass. This is why, you know where you messed up at? You know where you clucked up at? You know where you went wrong? By not, well, first of all, you went wrong by going on this trip, by going on this camping shit. That's where you went wrong at, right? You could have just stayed in the house. But that's besides the point, you know? But you definitely went wrong by not getting no Adidas tent. Because don't you know, with an Adidas tent, if you get the right one, the real one, nothing or no one can penetrate that Adidas tent. Ever. I don't care if you got nothing or no one can get in your tent without your permission. I mean, Adidas tents are the strongest tents ever made, ever created. They may cost you an arm and a leg. They may cost you some yeah, but it's worth it, best believe me. So if you ever camping, which I don't condone, which I don't promote, But if you ever camping, please get yourself an Adidas tent. Because at least with that, you're 100% safe. Unless you get out of that tent. But as long as you're in a Adidas tent, as long as you're on the inside, you don't got nothing to worry about. Baby girl, baby boy. You ever seen that movie, Baby Boy? With Tyrese? Classic. But yeah. I'm trying to tell you. Adidas tents. It's the way to go. Stop, don't shush me. I hate when people shush me.
I nodded because he was a grown-up, and my mom taught me to listen to grown-ups.
What? Come on. No. My mom taught me stranger danger, bitch. My mom taught me to respect grown-ups, not to talk to every grown-up that you come across. So your mom's is clucking up. Wow, I mean, how many cluck ups are we gonna get in this video? Come on now, get it together.
He ducked out and closed the tent flap again. It was late at night, or early in the morning. I'm not sure which, because it was so dark, and it seemed like such a long time to lay there awake before I heard someone moaning in the distance. It was quiet, but not that far away. I'm told that other girls heard it too. Some girls made up stories afterwards to get attention, but not me. I never told anyone.
Till now.
Not until now.
Yeah. Yeah.
When the light finally started to break, I realized how badly I needed to pee. I wasn't sure if the man was still outside, but it was probably okay because it was morning, and the sun was coming up over the horizon.
I don't care. I don't care. A stranger, a man, came to my mother clucking tent. So after that happened, after I experienced that, I'm not stepping foot outside the tent unless I'm surrounded by every single person that's here. And we're all moving together. So if I have to pee, I'm not stepping foot out of this tent. So if I have to pee, I'm peeing inside the tent. Y'all just gonna be smelling urine this whole trip. Y'all just gonna be smelling pee this whole trip. Cause I'm not getting out. I'm not getting out of this tent. I don't know where he is. You don't know where he is. I'm not taking that chance. Cause the odds of me getting snatched the hell up just because I have to pee is pretty high.
And bad things didn't happen to little girls in the sunshine.
Yeah,
so I
yes.
poked my head out of the tent.
Yes, yeah.
And looked around. The sky was that pale white blue color it turns just at dawn, but it still felt safe. Somehow better because the sun had risen and everything was okay. I headed down the trail towards the showers and the toilets.
You sure everything okay?
And that's where I saw them.
See?
At the base of a tree.
See?
Slumped together like strange piles of garbage.
Damn.
Were the corpses of 3 little girls.
Oh my God.
I knew their names. I still know their names. But does that matter now?
Mm-hmm.
2 of them were in their sleeping bags. 1 was just on the ground. She had her pajama top pushed up. No pajama bottoms. A strange red flashlight was near their feet. There was blood. They weren't moving. I can see them. I can still see them. I can still see them.
Why are you talking like that? Stop, please.
It doesn't feel like draining the wound so much as infecting it. I don't know why, but I went right past them. I guess I knew if I went back to my tent I would wet the bed. I'd never have any big girl friends if I did that. So I went right past the little sleeping bags and straight to the bathroom. I peed and went back to tent number 6. Tent number 7 was empty. I went back to sleep. It was the last sleep I ever had, unbroken by nightmares or screaming.
How do you go to
I
sleep
think I
after that?
convinced myself the whole thing was a bad dream. There was no man, no pile of sleeping bags with dead little girls inside them, no empty tent number 7. The counselors got us up earlier than usual. We went to the Great Hall for breakfast. We went canoeing in the river. It was fun. Everything was okay. Bad dream. That was all.
Bad dream eyes.
Buses came to take us back to the Great Hall. When we got off the bus, one of the older counselors who ran the camp told us that there was a problem with the water supply. Camp would have to be canceled for the summer. We all needed to pack our things and go home.
Alright, let's hurry up.
Camp canceled.
Hurry up and get out of here.
In tent number 6, the other girls whined about how it was unfair. They had sold so many cookies to get here this year, and after one stupid day it was all over. But I kept hearing the gray-faced counselor's words in my ears. Camp is canceled. Camp is canceled. I tried to nap on the bus ride home, but my seatmate kept waking me up because she said I was crying in my sleep. The bus stopped, and I got off. The troop leader said not to talk to anyone who wasn't our parents. There was lots of reporters, and shouting. Mom grabbed me and cried. No more camp, she said. She threw out my sleeping bag as soon as we got home. The police came once or twice after that, but I never talked to them. Mom told them that I had been very clear, that I hadn't seen anything, that I'd slept all night. I haven't slept a full night since. Would it have helped if I had said something? If I told someone? Every time I thought about doing it, my heart plummeted into my stomach. I saw the man's face, with his finger on his lips. Usually I would throw up. So these words, the words I've never said until now, they have festered inside me like some exotic form of mental rot for all these years. I can't hold down a job for more than a few months.
Wow.
I take too many sick days. No husband to speak of. The night terrors took care of that. A man will only sleep in your bed so many times before the screaming and thrashing drives them away. But my new therapist, he's been so nice. He tells me whatever happened wasn't my fault, and that this will help. And I started to think that maybe it was time to tell. Time to describe the face that poked into tent number 6 that night in 1977.
What are the odds of her therapist being that guy? I may be reaching. You know, I may be reaching right now, but what are the odds of her therapist being that guy? I want to say it's pretty slim, but I also want to say it's like it's not that slim. But it's not high either, so it's like I don't know. Again, I may be reaching, but my mind is always like thinking about. It's always just thinking. It's thinking. But that would be something if if her therapist now was the same guy that did that back in the day. That would be something. You know. Yeah.
And then I remembered what I had blocked out. The thing my mind forced me to forget. Even though I can still see the twisted, tangled little bodies underneath the tree as clear as day. My brain shattered this memory and scattered it to the wind. But it has always been there. Waiting at the bottom of my gullet. Forcing out vomit instead of words should I ever decide to tell. When I went to pack my bag that day, Mr. Beans was gone. And in his place was a little scrap of paper. All it said was, "Shh,
my ass." Spiders aren't always the worst thing about. Yes, the hell it is. Yes, it is. Cluck spiders, all of them.
Never again can I bring myself to go into the woods. The events that transpired a few weeks ago caused this. Here's my story.
Mm-hmm.
I was never a big fan of rural areas, being born and raised into city life. But when my lifelong best friend Cody mentioned a big camping trip that he had been adamantly planning, I couldn't say no.
I could.
Considering that he was my boss in the office and had given me a week off for the trip, there was no way I was getting out of it.
Yeah,
The
I
thoughts
would
of
have.
sleeping-
Yeah. I would have figured out something. I would have vomited right then and there. Be like, oh. Yeah, can't go. Sorry. I'm gonna see y'all when y'all get back. I would have came up with something right there, right then and there. I would have came up with something on. I would have came up with something on the spot to make me not go to on that camping trip. And it sounds like he forced it on you. Sound like he didn't even ask you to go. He just said, "Hey, you're going." Just that simple. Yeah, I would definitely would have thought of something to make me not go. I probably would have ate 10 different Tums all at once. That's probably not healthy. And please don't do that. Cause it says directions. Adults and children 12 years of age and over chew 2 to 3 tablets as symptoms occur or as directed by a doctor. 2 to 3 tablets. And I just took 10. Something happening. Or I would have drank like a lot of Pepto. I would have drank a whole bottle of Pepto-Bismol. Something. I would have did something to make me not go with them on the trip.
And surrounded by spiders and centipedes and God knows what else,
Wow.
were enough to unnerve me. But after seeing his face light up like a little kid as he detailed his plans, I couldn't bring myself to let him down.
I could.
He set us up on a 5-day hiking and camping expedition through the woods, a few miles outside of town.
Right.
The woods intersected with our state's reservation for the Native Americans, and being 1/4 Mohawk himself, Cody genuinely wanted to check out some of the scenery that was included around the hiking area. Despite my initial hesitation, it did seem somewhat interesting, and I agreed to go with him on his little trip. Poor judgment on my part. A few weeks go by, and I find myself walking through the woods with Cody with 60 pounds of gear on my back,
Damn.
covered in sweat and mud and wondering what the fuck I was doing.
Right.
We had stumbled into the reservation early on the second day of our trip, and it was almost as if the woodland itself had a different aura to it. A pure feeling of some kind that we both noticed.
Sorry.
No matter how clean the nature felt around us, I was still disgusted by all of the different insects and thorny plants that I continuously had to flick off from my clothing. After battling a horde of house cat-sized mosquitoes that was
Damn.
assaulting me, I asked Cody, "Hey, when are we gonna set up camp, man? Not to bitch, but my legs are getting a little tired." He consulted his map and pointed over the next hill. "There's an old burial ground over that ridge, and I thought it'd be cool to make camp there for the night," said Cody, afraid to belittle his culture in some way, and I reluctantly agreed. When we got to the burial ground, it just appeared as about a dozen raised stone and grass mounds in a small clearing. Nothing special, to say the least. We pitched a tent on the tree line around the ground, so as to not disrespect the dead, as Cody said. Unpacked and cooked some food. After eating dinner and discussing our company's upcoming financial merger, Cody grew tired and fell asleep. I powered up my phone and went to make the daily rounds of all the social media sites, my last attachment to city life that I had kept during our time in the woods. Under the large trees, I was getting no service, but as I walked towards the burial mounds, I was able to pick up a signal. As I was waiting for my emails to load up, The water I had with dinner started to catch up to me. Not wanting to urinate in the open view of the tent, I ducked around one of the mounds to relieve myself. Finally, my emails loaded, and I saw that absolutely nothing interesting had happened back home.
Relieving yourself away from the camp, away from people. I'm not, especially because I don't know this area like this. Right? I'm not about to relieve myself further, like away from everybody else. I'm going to be relieving myself right in front of everybody else. You know? All I'm saying is just don't look. Females, if you want to look, hey, what's up? Right? But I'm peeing right here. Like, I'm not about to go in no bushes. I'm not about to go behind no big ass rock. Like, nah, I'm right here. So when I relieve myself, I can see y'all. Y'all are right here, what like a couple of feet from me. I'm not about to go like 30 feet away from the camp just to relieve myself. I'm going right here. So again, people, I'm peeing right here. Ladies, y'all can look away, but if you don't, I'm not mad at you.
The past 24 hours. Feeling satisfied I hadn't missed anything, I started walking back to the tent to get some rest. When I reached the tent and went to undo the zipper door, I could feel the hair on the back of my neck prick up.
Oh.
That ominous feeling that something was watching me hit, and I was instantly aware of how loud my heartbeat got. I turned my flashlight around slowly, and my beams caught a deer in the brush about 20 feet behind me. He was a pretty large buck, with a large set of antlers, one of which was broken, and an ear that seemed to have been bitten off at some point.
Oh no.
When I saw it was just a deer, my heartbeat returned to normal, and relieved, I entered the tent to get some much-needed shut-eye. The next day, we trudged onward through the reservation lands. As much as I had hated the woods, I had to admit that the foliage was beautiful, and I'm sure any amateur photographer would have been kept busy in this setting. It wasn't until dusk that I noticed something was off. All of the birds chirping and forest noises that we had heard all day had completely disappeared. I assumed that the forest went to sleep as soon as the sun started to go down, but Cody seemed a little uneasy about the silence too. Regardless, we had set up camp, so he went to find firewood while I pitched the tent. Usually, it takes me 2 or 3 tries to get the tent set up correctly. That night was especially difficult because, once again, I had that eerie feeling that I was being watched. I wheeled around, and once again, see the face of the deer with the broken antler and the damaged ear peering out of the bush looking at me. Involuntary shudders crept through my body, and I got the all-around sense that something wasn't right. When I made movement to try to shoo the deer away, he simply stayed put and stared at me with those beady black eyes. In this case, though, logic overcame my gut instinct, and I realized that the deer posed no serious risk to me, so I shrugged it off and continued setting up the tent.
Stop shrugging.
When Cody returned with the firewood, I told him about the encounter. His lower jaw dropped, and his face instantly put on a look of utter fear. He hurried me into the tent, closed the door, and started telling me a story about the Aquayonki, or deer men, that the Mohawks had legends about. They appeared as tall and dark, skinny men, yet could take the form of deer or other animals of the forest when need be.
Oh,
He
damn.
described them as demons of the forest,
Oh.
who preyed upon unwanted visitors and invaders to the Mohawk lands.
Oh my
He
God.
started explaining legends of how some of the original American colonists were gruesomely murdered after clearing Mohawk forest to make their homes in the New World. At this point, my hands were shaking uncontrollably before Cody had to stop his story mid-sentence.
Your feet
with a
better be
sudden
shaking.
fit of laughter. He looked at me and said, "Come on, man. I know you're afraid of the woods and all, but forest demons? Don't tell me you believe that shit." I punched his arm and called him an asshole and had no choice but to laugh at myself. Regardless, That night, my dreams were plagued by shape-changing deer and wolves and bears who were waiting in the woods to murder me in some brutal, violent way.
While they waiting on you, bitch, I'm already 6 miles out with my Adidas 2000s on. Something always happens to the ones that always be shrugging off something. If you feel like something or somebody is watching you or staring at you, right, and you just say, oh, it's probably nothing. You know, or if it's like warm in your house, in every area of your house, every area in your house is warm, every single area in your house is warm, and around 3 o'clock in the morning while you sleep, you just, oh no, not even that, you just watching TV, right, in broad daylight, you watching TV, and your house, inside your house, is warm. And all of a sudden, while you watching TV in broad daylight, you just get like a cold feeling on the back of your neck or on your legs or something, or just all over your body. You just get like a one swift motion of like a cool breeze, and then it's just like back to the warm. So it's like that breeze that cold breeze that you felt was like you felt it for like a half a second, but it was enough for you to feel it and to know that something is up and something ain't right. But you be like, oh, it's probably nothing. This mother clucker, he keep shrugging things off. He not gonna make it out alive if he keep doing that. He keep shrugging it off.
These paranoid thoughts carried over into the next day's hike, where every sound that I heard was something stalking us, waiting for an easy chance to go in for the kill. Unfortunately for me, Cody didn't notice how much his story had thrown me off, and so I still had the task of collecting firewood that night as we set up camp. I took the flashlight and set out before it got too dark. As I was about 10 minutes away from our camp, my flashlight ran across a deer's face sticking out from the foliage about 30 feet ahead of me. Sure enough, he had a broken antler and a ruined ear. So it was the same one I had seen before. His beady, almost dead eyes just stared at me like they had 2 nights before. Except this time, I noticed that something was really wrong with the whole picture. And then it hit me. The deer's head was almost 8 feet off the ground. And between the leaves, I saw what looked to be a long, slender black arm with sharp claws pointed directly at me.
Oh my god.
I dropped the flashlight and turned and sprinted towards the tent as fast as I'd ever ran before in my entire life, not looking behind me. I reached the camp and pushed Cody inside the tent. In my hysterics, I wasn't able to relay the full story to him, but he caught on to my fear immediately. We grabbed our camping knives, the only weapons we had brought, and sat in the tent that night, looking out the windows, vigilant for anything that would try to approach our camp. When dawn finally came, we were both awake still. By that point, he had gotten the full story, and after consulting a map, decided that we could make it to the local road and call for a ride back home before nightfall. Leaving all the non-essential items behind, we trekked the road, called a cab, and got a ride back to the lot where our cars were parked. Cody still didn't entirely believe that what I had witnessed was true, but I knew what I had seen. "Go home, get some rest. We'll meet for drinks tomorrow," he said. "We can talk about it all then." I silently nodded my agreement as he dropped me off at my house and pulled off into the night. Feeling relieved to finally be back in the city, I jogged up the stairs to the door, unlocked it, and walked into the apartment. As I set down my keys and walked to the bedroom for some well-needed rest, I noticed an odd irony tinge hanging out in the air.
Man.
The smell was weak, but certainly there. I turned on the bedroom light, and it was just sitting there on my bed staring at me.
Oh my
with its
god.
ruined ear and broken antler. The next day, the police told me the deer had been skinned and some sort of mask had been made of its face and left in my bedroom. No additional evidence of a break-in was found, and it was never determined how the perpetrator or perpetrators had gotten into my locked apartment. The police investigators tried passing it off as simply another random act of vandalism by some of the meth heads that frequented the area. According to the investigators, the weirdest part was nothing was taken from the apartment at all.
It's time for the percolator.
The only additional clues left behind were the 4 long gash marks that had been cut straight across my bed.
And that is exactly why I don't camp anymore. Because he's about to do it.
There's always a reason.
There it is.
To be afraid.
Every time I jump, every time. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hey. Wait, hold on. I have to adjust myself. Pause on this. Oh my god. Okay. I hate these underwears. Okay. And I have to pee. Yeah. Some of y'all know, some of y'all don't. I've went camping one time in my life, and that was when I was a kid. And I was with a group of kids. And I'm not even gonna lie, like my red flag senses was non-existent. You know, my knowledge of Adidas was non-existent. Pretty much everything that you know about me was non-existent at that time. I was just a kid, regular kid. You know, just camping. Right. But now that I think about it, there were a couple of red flags, a couple that just went right over my head. God forbid nothing ever happened to me, but there was a couple of red flags at that point in time that just went right over my head. And this stuff like this, when I hear about the camping stories, that's exactly why I don't camp no more, because you just don't know what's out there. And even if you do, and even if you camp in an area that you know all too well, and that you know, like you're familiar with the area in which you're about to camp in, just because you know that area don't mean that something can't happen, especially at night. Because if you camping at night and you're in an area that's completely open, I'm not saying that something gonna happen, but all I'm saying is something gonna happen. If you clucking up enough, something gonna happen. I don't even care if you camping in the backyard of your house. If your backyard is open, it's no gate, it's no fence, it's just open, and you camping, oh man, you just asking for it. I mean, now granted, you're a couple of feet away from your house, but all I'm saying is if you camping and you all out in the open and there's no gate around you, there's no fence around you, that's free game. And exactly why I don't do that no more. And my kids not about to do that. Nope. And if they do, best believe they're gonna have Adidas and an Adidas tent. You know, if y'all ever went camping, right? Let me know how it went. Did it go smooth? Did it go good? You know, let me know. Did some clucked up stuff happen? Let me know that in the comments. And if you're about to go camping, please have your Adidas on. Please. That's all I'm saying. I'm here for y'all. We're family. I want to protect my family. And that's it. That's all that is. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy, my beautiful, awesome, gorgeous, sexy ass family. That was kind of weird.